Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So, alright, this one has been on my mind for days. I wrapped up 48 straight hours in Battlefield 6 open beta. 2 full weekends of non-stop action, squad play, explosions, you name it. And of course, some frustration too. Now that I had the time to let it all sink in, I wanted to give you my honest, no-filter take. How good is Battlefield 6 really? And the bigger question everyone is asking, is it going to kill Call of Duty? Should you stop playing Call of Duty and switch to Battlefield 6 completely? Should you pre-order Battlefield 6? I mean, this is not going to kind of decide for you, but this is probably going to help you kind of understand what to go from here. This also isn't going to be some corporate fluff. I'm not reading you patch notes. This is real talk from someone who actually played the thing for hours. So let's break it down together without any BS language. Let's be real, the first few matches, I was grinding like an idiot. To be honest with you, Battlefield 6 felt like Battlefield again. It's grounded, I mean, no goofy neon skins, no over-the-top kind of hero powers. Just rifles, tanks, quads, and grit. The tone was right, the vibe is back, to be honest with you, and you load in and instantly get that sense of scale and grit that made Battlefield iconic to begin with. When you're pinned down in Cairo map, for example, with smoke everywhere, gunfire echoing off the walls, tanks rolling in, and your squad scrambling to survive, that's peak Battlefield if you haven't played it before. I had moments that legit reminded me of Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3, and it wasn't just once or twice. That cinematic tension was showing up in nearly every match. The way objectives are placed, how the enemy pushed, and the dynamic responses from your squad mates, it was genuinely impressive. And you can tell that teamwork is everything. Lone wolfing doesn't cut it here, but kind of stick with your squad and it clicks. Revives, resupplies, dragging your buddy out of the open and tossing smoke to save the push. That stuff feels good. It's chaotic, cinematic, and somehow felt really exciting. I mean, everything felt awesome. Even the little things pop. LMG barrels overheating, rubble flying after an explosion, the weight of gunfire echoing through destroyed buildings. You feel immersed, and that's somehow we've missed for a while, to be honest with you. The sound design especially deserves praise. Every bullet snap, every tank shell, every suppressed weapon sounds rich. I found myself instinctively kind of flinching during intense firefights. It's kind of weird, but it worked. That's how good it is, to me at least. Let's talk gunplay. To be honest with you, it's a clean, recoil is predictable, but it still kicks enough to feel right, and the time to kill sits in the perfect space, in my opinion, to be honest with you. I know the community is kind of divided and different about this one, but here's what I feel. I feel like it was fast enough to reward precision, but not so quick it feels like you're playing COD. You can actually recover and clutch fights. Gun customization makes sense. This is the way I saw it. You don't need to dig through Reddit to understand your attachments. You swap a grip or sight and you see the difference right away. It's intuitive, it's mid-match friendly, it works. I was switching setups on the fly and seeing immediate performance differences right away. And as for guns, I feel like the variety was solid too. You've got punchy shotguns. I know it was overpowered, and I think the devs are working on it a little bit, but I kind of liked it that way. LMGs lay down true suppressive fires if you wanted to. And also the sniper rifle was actually pretty good. I felt comfortable with it. I mean, guns felt different depending on the environment too. What works in the street of Cairo doesn't have to be, kind of the same performance in the Liberation Peak. There's still room for tuning. I think, a few guns felt a little underwhelming or way too dominant, but it feels like a solid foundation, like it's just a patch or two from, away from greatness. Now this is Battlefield, you have to get vehicles right, and I think they nailed it here. Tanks are beasts, and but they're not gods, You overextend, you're toast. APCs can anchor points, but teamwork is what keeps them alive. It honestly felt like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 again, the sweet spot where infantry and armor are both deadly, but one doesn't dominate the other. That kind of thing, you know what I mean? We didn't see all the tools yet, like active defense or all the gadgets coming at launch, but the foundation feels solid. To be honest with you, I had matches where I was jumping between air support and infantry, and it all meshed together nicely. And I have to say, I mean, having dedicated seats in vehicles or like kind of, hanging on a vehicle or jumping on a tank or kind of even standing on the plane when you like on a jet or a helicopter, that kind of felt really wild. And I felt like, it was welcomed by a lot of people. So that's cool. That's good. Let's talk about how the game runs. This was probably the smoothest Battlefield beta I've ever played, no joke. I was pushing 4K Ultra at 200 FPS, no major crashes, no server meltdowns. Compared to previous launches, this was night and day, and considering how shaky past Battlefield launches have been, this felt like redemption. I know a lot of people had a problem or like performance versus graphics issue between PlayStation 5 and PlayStation Pro, but this should not be, that problematic. The devs weren't sleeping either. We got hot fixes during the beta weekends. I mean, that alone shows me they're watching, listening, and adjusting. That's how you build trust with the players. But more than performance, the atmosphere is what stuck with me. I mean, the sound, the smoke, the chaos, it's immersive. There were moments I just sat in a corner listening to the world falling apart around me. It doesn't feel scripted. It felt real. The maps looked okay and sometimes good for me. I mean, they're different. There's only one certain map that I didn't like, which is the Empire State. I don't know. I felt like it was kind of everything was cramped up in the middle. The graphics of it was not very, very good. Cairo, on the other hand, it was, it stands out, to be honest with you. Tight alleyways, sudden ambushes, squad wipes in the blink of an eye, to be honest. And then moments later, you're crawling through rubble and nothing but your pistol trying to revive your last teammate. It's intense, to be honest with you. Now, let's not pretend it's all sunshine. Map design in the beta, kinda mid. Liberation Peak is the biggest one we got and it still funnels players into tight checkpoints. Not a lot of flanking opportunities, feels more like controlled chaos than open sandbox. That's not the Battlefield I remember. Spotting is also way too forgiving. Just look near an enemy and a red marker pops up. Where's the tension in scanning and spotting manually then? That's part of what made past games feel tactical. Movement is also kinda towing the line, a little too much slide spam. It hasn't crossed into full arcade, but it's close. And honestly, Battlefield should feel different than COD. And let's be real, the UI needs work. Auto spamming, menu buried under menus, lobbies that reset after every match. We need persistent servers. Battlefield is about building momentum, not rebooting every 15 minutes. And also, rush mode felt like an afterthought. I mean, 12 versus 12, no vehicles, tiny map sections. It just didn't bring that intensity. That mode deserves better. And I know a lot of people talked about it. The community discussed it in multiple videos that I saw, and I think the devs got that message and they're working on it. Here's what worries me most: direction. This direction looks amazing, but it feels staged, like it was built for the trailer, not the players. This sandbox of freedom, I want more of that. Give me tools. Let me collapse a building to trap enemies. Let me be creative. I know this is only beta. I know there's a lot of things coming at launch, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? The return of classes sounded exciting, but when everyone can run almost any weapon, it waters down what made classes matter. I know people might be, having different opinion about this one, but I feel like, each class should have their own perks and gadgets, and they should not swap between classes. But this is only my opinion. For example, you lose that "I need a medic" moment. It becomes more about loadouts than rules. And then there is the cheating already popping up in the beta. The devs say they blocked 300,000 attempts. That's great, but it's also scary. This is a long battle. They're going to have to stay on top of it. And I know one thing for sure. I think they're doing better than what COD devs are doing for the cheaters in COD. Now onto the big question, is Battlefield 6 going to kill Call of Duty? In my opinion, no, it doesn't have to. Call of Duty has built an empire. The polish, the consistency, the yearly cycle, it's a juggernaut. I mean, people know what to expect, and a lot of folks love the fast-paced arcade chaos. Some of you may not agree with this statement that I just said, but a lot of people do agree and they still play COD. And Battlefield doesn't need to copy that. It just needs to be Battlefield again. And honestly, it's getting there. The beta showed heart. it showed potential. It doesn't have to dethrone COD to succeed, it just has to offer an alternative and a different flavor of war, and it's finally doing that again. So here is my final take. Battlefield 6 won't kill Call of Duty, but it might just wake it up. If DICE listens, it fixes the pacing, opens up the maps, and leans harder into the sandbox chaos, Battlefield 6 could be the comeback the franchise needs. Because when it works, it really works. I had moments in the beta that gave me chills. The squad synergy, the cinematic firefights, the feeling of pulling off the impossible with your crew, that's something COD cannot replicate. So no, Battlefield won't kill Call of Duty, but it might just steal the spotlight for a while, and honestly, I'm here for it. If you played the beta, let me know what you thought down below. Hit that like button if you like the vibe, subscribe for more contents, and I'll see you on the battlefield.